Guten Morgen. Just a few moments ago, I had a couple of bleeps on my left-hand rod. Bobbin flew off, and I thought I was away, but then there was nothing there. I've wound in, literally, a rig with no lead. Now, I use the drop-off inline setup with all of my solid bag fishing. You know, I love the way that obviously the lead can come off in weed, but also when the fish hooks itself, it can shake it and the lead generally comes off and the fish is nailed. Now, on this occasion, the fish has done exactly the same thing. The lead's come off, but there's no fish on the end. It's managed to use the whole lot and shake the hook out as well. Now, you know, what's the cure? It's difficult to say, but what it does prove is how difficult these fish are at the moment. You know, they're really on edge. But what I'm actually going to do, the next time I fish and put the bag out, I'm going to step it up with a slightly larger flat pair. I've been using little 2-ounce ones. I'm going to step it up to maybe 2.5 or a 3, just to give a little bit more purchase, a bit more weight that will hopefully keep that hook in this time around. Fortunately though, there is a little bit of positivity from the night. Just before that, about an hour before, I managed to land myself a lovely, lovely little zip linear. So we're going to have a look at fish care and have a look at that fish. The fish we catch are the reasons we go angling. And the worst thing you can do is, once it's given you all that joy, the fight and everything else, and you've got it in the net, is to drag it up the bank, harm it, mistreat it, and then put it back worse for its wear. Now, by doing some simple principles, you can make sure that fish goes back nice and safely and in the best possible condition. Now, when I get a fish in the net, the first thing I do is don some waders. If the lake allows you to and the ground's nice and hard, get in with the fish, unhook the fish in the water, make sure it's nice and safely in there, and then what I'll actually do is take one of these slings, okay, these are sort of flotation slings, and I will actually transfer the fish into the sling in the water. It's very easy to do. You literally just unzip the side of it, just lower it into the net, and just, if you've got a friend with you or yourself, just sort of ease the fish into it. You know, you're not opening up the net or risking losing it. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you've mastered that, it's really easy and gives the fish the best possible chance of recovery before you get it on the bank for photography. Now, what I've done here, I've got it in the sling, nice and safe. The important thing when you're taking them out of the water is to ensure all their fins are flat against their body, okay? If the pectoral fin is sort of outwards and then you lift it up, what that does, it puts all its body pressure on one of its fins, and imagine that, someone twisting your arm right back. You don't like it, do you? The carp don't like it either, so it's really important that you check it in the water, check it and check it again, you know? Once is not good enough, because fish move, as you can see, this is moving, so the one time I've checked it isn't enough. So before you take the fish out, you need to make sure all the fins are flat against its body. And I can't stress that enough, you know. This fish is an absolute stunner. You know, it's not the biggest one in the world, but it will grow to be a biggie one day. And I want it to be perfect for the next person that catches it. So I've got my hand inside the flotation sling. Just, it's lively, I've given it time to recover. I've got my hand in there, and all I'm doing, just making sure the fins are flat. I'm just gonna ease my hands there, under it. So I can feel one was pointing out. And the other bit of advice, don't always lift them like that, okay? When I lift the fish out, I often just put a supporting hand around their head just to ease them and feel the sort of fins all the way in. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it in now and show you what you do on the bank to ensure they're in the best possible condition. Right, the first thing you'll notice is how much water we've got on the mat, okay? The fish have got like a protective slime on them, and if you put them on a dry mat, that's going to wear some of that away, and that's going to hurt the fish, that's going to potentially harm them. You don't want to do that, so make sure the mat is completely soaked in water. Just take a spare bucket with you, fill it up with water, have a friend on the side to help you, and the fish is going to be in the best condition possible. Right, so we've got it there, got it nice and flat. I'm just going to carefully open the sling. Now, we're not going to weigh this one because it's, you know, it's not the biggest carp, and I don't want to put it through any more sort of stress than it needs to go through, but you just have a look at the beautiful scaling on this fish. It's going to cover its eyes. If you cover their eyes, they won't flip around as much. Take your time, you can open that sling up, and turn him over. There's a lively old boy. So just get down, keep them, use the mat, don't let them flap around too much, just cover their eyes and let them be nice and calm, you know. I hate watching people walk away, go to get their... I've seen people actually leave a carp on the mat, walk away to go and get the weigh sling and the scales, and the carp's just flapping around on the bank, flapping around down gravel. That is disgraceful. That is absolutely disgraceful, and you shouldn't even be going fishing if you behave like that. So look after them, pour some more water over it, Jake. Yep. you would have seen from previous Thinking Tackles how much care Dan, Adam Penning, myself, all the guests take with their fish, because we know these are why we go fishing and we just want to protect them as much as possible. So I'm waiting for it to calm down because it's obviously got a bit of its energy back, so I'm just going to let it just keep its eyes covered. You know, I'm not pushing down on the fish, just keeping its eyes nicely covered, letting it just calm down before I can get it up for a photo. You know, the more people around you, the better. The bigger fish are harder to control. You know, you would have seen when we caught big fish at Gigantica and in France, we've got often 2 mats there, loads of people around to act almost as goalkeepers. So should the fish flap, they can help support it and get it down on the bank, safely on the mat, ready to be lifted up for another picture. Just rock them back on your forearms. Mr. Fairbrass showed me that. Just keeping it there. And then you can just lift it up, get it ready for a picture and look after your prize. What a stunning, stunning carp. That was a sucker for the solid bag. Pity some of his other mates don't want to get involved, but I tell you what, that's worth a weight in gold, that one. Awesome looking carp, awesome. So I'm going to put it back down now, and the final things I'm going to do, there's where the hook hole's been, I'm just going to apply a little bit of remedy. This one's like a mouth lotion, and I can just dab it dry in there. If I turn this round here, just going to turn him round there. I'm just going to get a bit of this on my finger, like that, and just put it inside there. Just let that rest for a little while, and it'll be much the better for it. And then I'm going to take some body lotion as well. Not the stuff you moisturise yourself with, but specifically made for carp. And just going to take some of that off. And where there's a little bit of a sort of a scrape there from in the weed, or you know, now they're going through the motions of spawning, just here, I'm just going to apply some of this. You can use a cotton wool bud as well. They're often in these kits, but look, loads of it there. And just let that settle. Give the fish 30 or so seconds to let that soak in. And then Jake, if you want to just give me a little bit more water, make sure at this stage the water's going into the gills, okay? That's there, just going right into its gills, keeping it happy and safe on the bank. What a wonderful carp. And he's going to go back in better condition than I caught him in, and that's very important. Right, Jake, let's have a couple of pictures. Well, I've really fallen in love with this little lake, and there's so many little nooks and crannies. I just couldn't resist going home without having a little go on one of the other areas of the lake. So I've just poked a little bank stick in there, the net's in there, I've got the solid bag, and I'm just going to lay it on some weed in the margins and hopefully nab another carp before I go home. So I'm just going to work my way through. This is a brilliant way of fishing, you know, this is maximising my time at a day ticket lake. I'm not just going to sit there waiting for it to happen, I want to make it happen. Mend the line. Make sure I've got good line lay. That's very important, that everything's sunk down and out the way so those fish don't get spooked. Just drop them over the top. Just a tiny bit of smell in the area. That's one rod done. Right then, just going to put it in the second spot now. I'm literally 10 yards away, round the corner, and I can sit between the two. So I'm going to disappear into the bushes now. See you in a minute. Well, it looks like it's not going to happen here either. Jake's over the other side persevering. I might give it another hour or so, see if I can nab one of these stunning carp, because we haven't caught any of the 20-pounders. We've been fortunate enough to catch a few lovely doubles, but there's definitely a few more gems in here. But to analyse the session itself, you know, it was from the very start, it was clear that we were going to have to work at it. They weren't going to get on big beds of bait, and we weren't going to amass a big hit. You know, it was one of those working sessions. You know, the solid bag in the end, I think if I'd used that earlier in the session, I may have caught more carp. You know, I think they're into these little parcels of food where coiling the attraction into one area, drawing them down, maybe nicking a bite. But any of these methods that we've covered, you know, the chod rigs that Jake's used, the little pop-up rig that I've covered, obviously the solid bag, you've seen the marginal approach, moving around, roving rods, baiting spots. You know, we've been busy, and on another day we might have caught 20 carp, you know. As it happens, we've had a few bites each, lost a couple, but I've really enjoyed it. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and see you on the bank sometime.